All right, I think we're live now. So good evening, everybody. Missed you guys last week. Sorry I couldn't make it. It was just, work was crazy and busy and just too much going on. Couldn't make it to the live broadcast, unfortunately. It looks like we got several people here that joined early. Sometimes when I set these things up, it just, for some reason, it posted a little bit early. Everybody can join a little bit early. But, I think we've got everybody in here now, getting going anyway. Give me a second here. Make sure we're set up. Hopefully the video's a little bit better. Looking at it in the background here, it looks like it might be a little bit better. Working with an iPhone and just not the best video quality sometimes, but that's what we can do. So, all right, so we got some people here. We got Gregory here. William Safford said he was 20 minutes early. So yeah, 20 minutes early. Well, hey, thanks for joining 20 minutes early and hanging out and waiting on us. Appreciate that. William Chapman from Alabama wants to know how you and everybody else is doing. I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for asking. Who else we got? Kathy Hampston says, Chris, I have rabbits coming out of my ears. 24 babies. Wow, that's a lot. 4 does, one lucky, happy, busy buck, and another litter can pop any second now. That is a lot of rabbits for sure. So congratulations on that. Good luck with keeping up with all of it. Daryl from Ruby, South Carolina. Hello, Daryl. And Jack Antoine says, hi, guys. Rainer Funk says, hi, Chris. I love your videos, and I wish you the best of luck. Well, thank you so much. Goes on to say, my rabbit is 20 days pregnant and is making a nest and pulling fur. Any thoughts? Well, some rabbits do build their nests a little bit early. So it could just be that she's just building her nest a little bit early. Some rabbits do that. Sometimes, sometimes they have a false pregnancy. I doubt that's the case, though. Some rabbits, maybe she's pregnant longer than you thought. That could be the case, too, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just if she's building her nest and pulling fur, just let her do it. It's fine. It's not really a big concern. Just like I said, some rabbits just do it early. Most of my rabbits, it's like the day before, they're going to have their babies before they even start worrying about it. But some rabbits are different. Some of them will spend the time a little bit early. All right. Sexton Outdoors says hello. And Rainer Funk says, I'm beginning to think it's a false pregnancy. Okay. But I'm new to having rabbits and I don't know much. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Chances are if she's building a nest, it's probably a real pregnancy. Just, let her have the nest, let her build it. If she's pulling fur and stuff, put the nest box in, go ahead and let her build her nest. Hopefully she has babies here in 10 days. Maybe sooner. Some of them do have them a little bit sooner than that. All right, Candy says hello. Hello to you. Marie Scott, you too. Gerardo Laura says, hey, brother. Hello to you. Hi, Charles and SMK. And Money is the Essence says, thank you for all the qualities, bro. Well, you're absolutely welcome. And Gerardo says, I build the quail pen. Awesome. Good. Hopefully it turned out really well. William Wiltrax says, how often do you eat quail meat and quail eggs? I eat quail eggs all the time. Quail meat fairly frequently in the summertime when I'm incubating and producing a lot of birds. The wintertime, we usually, I think Super Bowl Sunday was the last time we had quail meat. But it'll pick back up. I'm getting ready to set some eggs in the incubator probably tomorrow. So, 8 weeks we'll have some eggs. Money is the Essence says quail tips. Okay, that's what you meant by qualities. Got it. Autocorrect will get you sometimes, won't it? Candy says hi from New Zealand. Wow, way over there. Thanks for joining us from halfway across the world. Sonny Reeves says, would you consider making a couple of lights and sell them? Boy, if I could, I would. My lights, I didn't make them myself. I reached out to a manufacturer. Those are prototypes that I had designed. Went through several different ones before I finally got ones that I actually liked. And then I took it to Kickstarter to try to get it funded so I could bring it to market, and I was not successful twice. Tried it twice and was not successful at all. If I could get just a couple, I would get a couple and sell them. But at this point, I think the minimum order I can place is 100 lights, which is a pretty significant investment. So I'm still considering doing that. Doing that, buying 100 lights and then reselling them because I've had a lot of people really want them, asking for them. So I'm still considering that. I just don't know. That's a pretty good investment for me to make out of pocket and then, not know if I can get them sold and recoup my cost on those or not. It's not about making a lot of money. Of course, I would want to make a little bit of money off of that just because of the effort I'm putting into it. But it's not about making a lot of money. It's more about making sure I'll recoup my cost because, I can't afford to be in debt for lights sitting in my garage, So, all right. Dave Hayes says, Just got my very first egg today. Oh, by the way, Sonny, if you are signed up on the link, if you went to the link and signed up, if I do that, I will make sure I send an email out to everybody. I'll announce it on the channel so you'll know about it. All right, Dave Hayes says, just got my very first egg today. Congratulations on your egg. The first one is always the most exciting. Candy says, love your quail tips. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. SMK says, Chris, how are your meat makers doing? Do yours lay big eggs? Mine do. Yeah, well, they lay pretty good size eggs. They're not really any different than the Pharaohs, honestly. The Jumbo Pharaoh, the Jumbo Meat Maker, if you put them side by side, you can't tell them apart. I don't notice any difference in egg size. I don't notice any difference in, egg production. I really can't tell much of a difference between them at all. Maybe the meat makers grow out slightly faster, but it's not much, and I think that's probably even a little bit subjective. I've actually been considering just combining them and just not worrying about separating them out, because so far I've been keeping very close. When I incubate eggs, I make sure that these are Pharaohs, these are meat makers. I put a divider in the incubator so I know these are the Pharaohs, these are the meat makers, and I put them in there. I keep them separate the whole time so I know that I've got pure Pharaohs, pure meat makers. But again, I can't really tell much of a difference, so who knows. All right. Thomas David says, Tom from Saginaw. Oh, Saginaw, Michigan. Okay. Saginaw, Michigan says, love your videos. Very helpful. Thank you. We have a Saginaw just right down the road. So when you said Saginaw, I thought you were like a neighbor. But Saginaw, Michigan's a little ways away. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Owen says, hi, how are you doing? Doing well. Thank you. Ricky Kerbo says, what will you get if you take an Texas A&M and tuxedo females? Is that a joke or is there a punchline? No, there's not a punchline, so it's a serious question. I wasn't sure. You probably, you'll get a mix of birds, but I think, and I don't know, I've got to think this through. I think the tuxedo is the dominant gene in that, so I believe that they would be primarily tuxedos. And then if you bred those together, you might get the occasional A&M white bird off of that. I don't know that for sure. I'd have to look into it a little bit. I'm not necessarily a genetics expert, but excuse me, assuming that the tuxedo is a dominant gene, and they're not carrying recessive traits for the white, the white A&M birds, then if you breed them together, you should theoretically get all tuxedo birds with a recessive gene for the tuxedo. So if you bred those together, two of those that had recessive genes, then you would get probably about a quarter of the birds, and theoretically, again, this is not exacts, but probably would it be a quarter? Not a four, yeah. A quarter of the birds would be white A&M, true white A&M with, that's the only way they would be white A&Ms if they had both white genes, if that makes sense. And then, a quarter of them would be tuxedos, but they would carry a recessive trait for the white, and then the rest of them would be true tuxedos with no recessive traits for the white. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them. So I think that's how it would work on that, but I'm not 100% sure. The tuxedos, I don't know how pure those bloodlines are, if they're crossbred with something to get that tuxedo, so you may throw some different things. It's hard to say for sure on that. I'm not necessarily a genetics expert, so that's my best guess on that. Sorry, I can't give you a for sure answer, but ES says, hello all. Is that ES or S? I don't know. Candy says, what are some tips for lighting your quail? What types of light and how long? It doesn't really matter what type of light you use for your birds. You don't need to worry about a certain spectrum. I would say, try to use like a white or a yellowish light. You don't want to go with like red or blue or something weird like that. I don't know that it matters, but still, it seems a little odd to me. I would try to get something that kind of mimics sunlight anyway, but it doesn't have to be full spectrum, anything like that. 14 hours a day of light is what you want on them if you want them to lay eggs and you want them to breed and all those things. They need 14 hours a day of light. But it doesn't have to be super bright light. You're just extending the dusk or extending the day, the morning. Dawn. Yeah, extending the dawn. There we go. Get it right. So you can have it come on, right as the sun's starting to set and stay on for a couple of hours to extend that day to 14 hours. Or you can have it come on in the morning a couple hours before the sun comes up to extend that dusk, or that dawn, there we go, a couple hours to make it 14 hours a day. So you could do, a lot of people just do Christmas lights, just string Christmas lights inside their hutch, have them, put them on a timer and have them come on. If you have power out to your hutches, then there's no reason not to do something like that. You can put them on a timer electric timers that you just plug into a regular outlet. They're cheap, $4 or $5, and you can set that to come on every day at a certain time and go off every day at a certain time. It's no problem. If you don't have power out there, you can get solar lights. Again, I've been working on, the solar lights that I have a timer built into them, so you can set them to come on at a certain time, go off at a certain time. But I don't have those on market yet. I kind of explained that a minute ago. There are solar lights out there that you can get that will come on automatically at dusk and just stay on until till the battery runs down. And you can try that. I've done that before, and it worked, but again, they kind of stayed on all the time. What I felt like is I wanted to have the birds to have a little bit more of a natural darkness, nighttime, than what that was showing. So hopefully that kind of makes sense and answers that question for you. Again, any kind of light's going to work. It's not really going to matter too much exactly what kind of light you use. All right, where are we going? All right, Mark says, I made it. Hey, thanks for making it. I appreciate it. Rainer says, okay, thanks, Chris. God bless. Well, God bless you too, and you're absolutely welcome. Look at that. That is got to be, it's Lars with a 200 Danish, is it Danish crowns? Is that what they are? Super chat. Thank you so much. That's so very generous. For those of you guys that are not Danish, because I had to look it up, that's like $30 or $40. It's incredibly generous. And Lars comes in here and just throws money at me every once in a while and never asks a question, never asks for anything, just throws some money at me. So very generous. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. Excuse me. Where are we at here? Gerardo says it did. Thanks. Good. Josh, Chris, I want to give you an update. I got 1 buck and 3 does, and I have planted my biggest garden to date. Awesome. Bet it feels good. Hopefully your garden does well this year. Learn from it. You're going to make some mistakes probably if it's your biggest one. There's going to be some things that work, some things that don't work. Don't get discouraged by that. Every year is a little bit different. Some years are much better than others. Hang in there and just keep at it. But congratulations and well done. All right. Uh-oh, did we freeze up? I think we're going again. Okay, good. Vastuf says, hey, good to see you again. You're the best. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Helen says, says, hi, Chris. My very first quail has just pipped in the incubator. Thanks for the inspiration. Awesome. Congratulations. Hopefully you have a great hatch rate with that. Good luck. All right. Charger says, hello from Pennsylvania. Separating my tomato seedlings as I watch. Nice. We still got a couple of weeks before we can put ours out, but I've got them out in the greenhouse right now, and they're just staying out in the greenhouse. It's not quite getting cold enough at night to have to bring them in. So that's nice. It's a little bit less work. I don't have to go out and bring them in every night, take them out every day, but they're doing pretty well. The ones in the garden under the milk jugs are actually doing pretty good so far. I'm kind of surprised by that. JR says, oh wait, hang on. Let me answer Williams first. But Williams says, are there other admins on the Slightly Redneck Facebook page? Dr. Benjamin Q is taking too many liberties on the page, posting irrelevant and inappropriate content. Yeah, I noticed that, William. I did, and I apologize, guys. I'm not the best at policing that, and I'm not the best at going into the Facebook group, the Facebook page. I'm very busy. I just don't get on there a whole lot, and that's my fault. There's no excuse for that. I just am not the best at social media sometimes, but I do try to get on there and just kind of scroll through. And I did notice when you say inappropriate content, there was a little bit of inappropriate. You're right. Some of it was just political, and that the Facebook group's not the place for that. I don't think there's any question. You guys know where I stand on. Well, you don't know where I stand. I lean more right than I do left, but this is not the place for us to talk politics. Talk about the things that unite us, not the things that separate us. So we don't need to get into those discussions in that group. That group is set up for, helping people with raising their own food, whether it be quail or rabbits or chickens or, cows or pigs or whatever, vegetables, any of that kind of stuff. That's what that group's for. Everybody in there has been incredibly helpful, but every once in a while we get somebody in there that wants to post a lot of non-relevant things. We've got, that person was posting political stuff, which I did remove those posts. I sent him a notice to ask him not to post that kind of stuff again. That was nice about it because there's no reason to be hateful with anybody about it. I warned him, I told him, asked him not to anymore, and I haven't seen anything else come back since then. So I think we're okay on that. We had somebody else in there that was posting like music videos. I'm guessing it was probably their band, their friend's band, something like that, which good luck to them. I hope they do great. But again, that Facebook group is not the place to be posting that stuff. So, hey, we got another $5 super chat, and this one comes with a question. This is from Rainier. Says, I know it's not much, but you have helped me a lot. Hey, you don't have to do anything. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. And you're absolutely welcome for the help. I'm not asking for you guys to pay me for that at all, but I do appreciate that. So thank you so much. All right. JR says, no video, it's buffering is all. I hope that's not everybody's experience. I don't know if it's JR or Junior Bailey or whatever. But anyway, JR, I hope that your video is working now. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know if it's my bandwidth that causes that. I don't know what it is. I just do my best to try to get on here and do live broadcasts for you guys every once in a while. So if it's having problems, you guys let me know in the comments section. When I finally get to that comment, I'll figure it out. Maybe try some things here. I can try disconnecting from my home network. It might do better over the cellular networks. I don't know. It's hit or miss sometimes. All right. Jason Franklin says, I'm really enjoying all the rabbit videos and information. Awesome. Thank you for watching them, and I'm glad that you're finding them helpful. Candy says, will cats be a problem when raising quail? My neighbor had lots of cats wandering around here. Well, they could be a problem. It depends on how you build your hutches and how you have your quail. If they're at ground level and they're in a place where the cats can get to them, they for sure will. I don't really have any problems with them. We have plenty of stray cats wandering around too. And I don't have any problems. They can't get into my hutches. They don't really mess with them at all. There's another super chat. Who is that? That's Wizrag gave me, is that pounds? 3 pounds? Is that right? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think that's pounds. I'm not sure. I'm not good at, I say foreign money. It's not foreign to you guys. It's foreign to me, but I'm not good at deciphering what that is. But thank you very much for that. So kind of you. And left just a little, I don't know what that is. A little bird giving a thumbs up there. So no question, nothing. Just throwing money at me for some reason. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We got some comments piling up. I need to get through this. So, well, thank you. It is pounds. Awesome. I'm getting better. All right, and is that another one? And another one. This is from Gerardo, gave me $3. Good grief. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. You're so kind. All right. Yeah, cats can be a problem for sure. The bigger problem, I mean, they don't get to my quail. They don't get to my quail hutches. My quail hutches are raised. And, you know, I've had, I put game cams out there before, and I've seen cats come around, but they've never really tried to get into it too much, never paid it much attention. I figured they just look at it and go, well, I can't get into that, and just leave it alone. I have had raccoons come up to it, and they've, you know, I've got pictures of them standing up trying to, you know, get into it. They've never figured out a way to get into it yet. So far, it hasn't been a problem. The bigger problem I have with cats is keeping them from using my herb garden as a litter bed, a litter box. There we go, litter box. That's the bigger problem I have. So if you figure out a way to stop that, let me know. All right, SMK says, I just processed 10 of my meat makers today. Awesome. I've got eggs. I'm getting ready to set. The incubator's warming up right now. I'm going to set eggs tomorrow. Hey, there's Wyland from Nacogdoches. I see that. I'll get to you in a second, Wyland. Or Wayland, that's it, Wayland. Medee says, have you ever hatched any pharaohs, wild-colored quail, that had white feathers at the tips of their wings? 2 of my 100 jumbo wilds from my shire had white feathers on the wings. Interesting. No, I have never done that. And I'm not going to, well, here, let me just say, I don't think I have never seen white feathers on a pharaoh. The brown is a dominant trait, and they've always been nothing but brown to me. So it could be that they mixed a few eggs in there on accident that were different, or I know that the pharaoh and any of the jumbo birds, your pharaohs, your meat makers, any of that stuff is usually developed by isolating genes. So there is possibility that there's going to be some kind of recessive gene in there that just shows up every once in a while. So it's nothing really to worry about, not that big of a deal. Ideally, you might want to cull those out if you're looking at really keeping your bloodlines pure, but I don't know that it's a problem. All right, Jim Bowie says, are quail eggs and quail in high demand in your area? Huge demand in New Jersey. It comes and goes. I usually offer some birds for sale whenever I hatch them to help cover my feed costs. Sometimes I get tremendous response on them, and sometimes I don't. So it just varies quite a bit. All right, excuse me. Got an email there. I was just checking to make sure it wasn't anything important. All right, Junior Bailey says, hey, Chris, my egg turner swap out is going to work. Sadly, KC Farms is just jacked up their egg prices, and I'll be having to buy from Hatch instead. That's okay. Hatch Poultry is a great hatchery. In fact, look at that. I'm wearing my brand new Hatch Poultry shirt today. I don't know if Hatch Poultry's here or not, but sent me a shirt. Just got it. This is it. Take a look at the back. It says, hatchpoultry.com. Hopefully you guys can see that. I can't see the screen to see if it's showing. Oh, I got the back of the chair in the way, don't I? There you go. There's the back of the shirt. All right. So, brand new shirt from Hatch Poultry. They're a great supplier. He's going to treat you right. So, nothing wrong with that. I like Kansas City Quail Farms is great too. They are a great supplier as well. They're good people. But, if you can't get from them and you can get from Hatch, then that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. ES says, do your birds have any bumblefoot issues? There's a little debate on social media as to whether wire, floor, or ground living causes, and it stops, but I think that's what you mean, causes bumblefoot. Yeah, gotcha. Excuse me. Don't worry, I'm not sick. I've just got a little bit of dry throat or something. All right, where was I going with this? Bumblefoot. No, I don't really have any problems with bumblefoot. Every once in a while, I will get a bird with a leg issue. But I've actually never had issues with bumblefoot. Maybe once I did, but that's it, just one time ever. And I will get a bird though every once in a while that has a leg issue, like injures their leg somehow or another, and they'll be hobbling around for a couple of days. They almost always recover just fine. Sometimes it gets pretty bad, and I have had to call out probably 3 or 4 birds because they had a bad enough leg issue. I've had something come up from the bottom and grab their toes before, which I was pretty sure was a hawk. That was a while back. I had a hawk that was like a young Cooper's hawk, very young one. We've got a set of Cooper's hawks that come out and nest in the backyard every year. The tree back there, there's 2 or 3 trees that they choose from. They nest in one of those every year. And one of their young one year was coming out. He just probably left the nest not too long before he could fly, but he was spending a lot of time on the ground still. And anyway, he was on the quail hutches, really trying to get to the birds, hanging underneath it and grabbing up through there and grabbing their toes and stuff. And I think that's what injured their feet that time. But no, I don't really have too many problems or at all really with any kind of foot problems from wire floors. It doesn't seem to bother them too much. I will say that it is probably better for them to be on the ground, but it's a lot. I mean, it is within reason. If you keep up with the cleaning, keep up with the husbandry, it's probably better for them to be on the ground. But at the same time, that's a lot of work to keep up with the cleaning. And if you're going to put them in a ground cage and you're not going to clean it on like an everyday, every other day basis, unless it's just a monstrous cage or tractor that you move around or something like that, you're going to do worse because they're going to be walking in their own feces all the time. They make a tremendous amount of mess. You're going to have to keep up with it. So there is a trade-off there. But, no problems with wire floors. They work pretty well for me and are incredibly clean. So, all right, Sonny Reeves says, thank you, still very interested. I'm not sure what that means. But you're welcome. Avery Birds and Company says, hey, from California, how long do you keep 2 male rabbits together? Well, that's a good question. Me personally, I like to separate my rabbits out by the time they're 12 weeks old or shortly after. I don't like to keep them together for much longer than that. That's usually more because at that point the males will start breeding with the females if you let them, and you don't want litter mates to breed together. The other reason for that is just because that's the good time to do that. They will start getting dominance. Males do tend to get along a little bit better than females do. Females can get very territorial, and they can start fighting and to try to establish dominance over the other ones if you leave them together for very long. The males do tend to get along a little bit better, and there are people that keep male rabbits together for life. They bond and they're just friends, so it's no big deal. But me personally, I do like to separate them out by about 12 weeks old. That's just the way I do it. I don't really think, I know that they will bond. They will, live together comfortably in one cage. It's something that you can do, but it just doesn't seem natural to me. I never see rabbits in the wild in like colonies, in groups. It's always just a rabbit, or there might be 2, but they're not together. They're, separated by a little bit of distance. They're kind of a solitary animal in the wild. So it just makes more sense to keep them on their own and just introduce them together for breeding. That's the only reasons, but that's just me. All right. Gerardo says, I got my incubator running smooth in preparation for egg arrivals next week. Awesome. Candy says, any tips what to do with extra male quails? I don't want to kill them. Well, sell them maybe if you don't want to eat them yourself. Sell them. To me, extra males is extra food for me, is what it means. So that's what I do with. But if you're not wanting to, that's perfectly all right. I'm not judging you for that. You could offer them up for sale to help cover your feed cost. You might find some people that will buy them if you're okay with them eating them, because that's probably what they're going to do if they buy a bunch of roosters. But it is something you could do. You may have a hard time selling just roosters. If you offer them up with hens, then you could sell them as breeding stock, but yet everybody's got too many roosters, so it's rare that anybody buys roosters. But it's an option you can do. Find some friends maybe that want some quail pets. You might be able to give them away. That's the only thought I know. I mean, you can keep them in their own cage for a while, but keeping a group of roosters together with no hens kind of seems a little bit cruel to me as well. What I would suggest is, if you are going to do that, try to do something where you can limit the light, so they're not getting 14 hours a day of light. Get them down to like 8 hours a day of light. Cover their cages if you have to with something that's dark, that doesn't let the light in, so they don't stay in that breeding mode where they're crowing all the time and looking to mate, and they don't have the ability to do that. That just seems kind of cruel to me. So that would be my suggestion on that. Hopefully that helps. I mean, I have a hard time if you don't want to eat them. I don't know what else to do with them. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. All right, William Stafford says, JR, I ordered from Hatch and had to email twice to find out there is over a 3-week waiting period. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, William. That's I know things have been pretty busy here lately. I don't know if Hatch is in here tonight. Sometimes he shows up. He might be able to. He usually responds to those inquiries if he does. And anyway, we won't go into that right now. I'm sorry you had a bad experience with that. Having to email over 3 times, or email twice, I guess it is. It's not great, of course, but he's been real responsive to me and most of the people I've talked to that have ordered through Hatch Poultry. Have found it to be real responsive and great service. Alrighty. Boy, it gets warm in here when I start doing this. I'm going to peel off this flannel shirt here. It's kind of chilly this morning. Warmed up this afternoon. All right. Got a phone call from Branson, Missouri. I'm not sure who that is in Branson, Missouri. All right. 806 Texas Boys says, my quail have not laid since I brought them home. How do you know, or do you know how to help? Well, could be a couple of things there. When you brought them home, I don't know when you brought them home. Any kind of move like that is going to stress your birds out. They're going to stop laying. Now, they may lay when you first get them home because it takes days for the egg to work through the quail. So if they laid when you first brought them home, that was an egg that they had already started developing before you ever got them. But they're usually going to stop laying. They're going to do that for a couple of weeks. So if you've got the light right, 14 hours a day of light, then just leave them alone for a couple of weeks and they'll start laying. Assuming they're old enough, 8 weeks old or more. But, if not, then add light to get it to 14 hours a day of light. That's really the only thing you can do is just wait. Get their conditions right and wait. But again, if you moved them recently, like you just brought them home, that's probably what's caused them to stop laying. Just leave them alone. Don't stress them out anymore. They're going to be fine. They'll recover and they'll start laying soon. All right. Was Koppel says, what can be done, if anything, to keep cabbage and mustard greens from bolting when I have not had more than a few high 60 low 70 degrees days? Oh man, that's tough. Yeah, that's a tough one. It may be the variety that you're growing. I haven't had a hard time with cabbage bolting, and I don't really grow mustard greens. I'm just not a big fan. I mean, they're okay. I like them from time to time, but not enough to grow them myself. So I don't know that I can answer that, but you run into the same problems with like spinach and lettuce and cilantro and some of those things. When it gets warm, those things want to bolt, and sometimes the variety that you choose can make a big difference with that. The other things you can do is provide shade for them. So get some shade cloth. It may keep it just a couple of degrees cooler, but if you have shade cloth that you can suspend over them, that will cut down on the amount of sunlight that's hitting them every day, that can help with that too. It keeps them just a little bit cooler and it can extend the season like that. Those are my best suggestions with that, unfortunately. Unless you have a place where you can plant them where, it might, like on the, south side of it would be the north side of your house, assuming you live in North America, where it stays in more shade all day instead of out in the middle of the sun. They do need sun, but at the same time, providing that little bit of shade for them, blocking off, giving them where they have morning sun and evening sun only, in the midday they're in the shade. That can help out quite a bit. So I don't have the best, magic answer for that, but that's the only things I can think of right off the top of my head. All right. All right, Junior Bailey says, William Stafford, 3 weeks will work for me. Oh, 3 weeks, yeah. Yeah, sometimes they get backlogged. I mean, that's all they can do. Talking about hatch poultry taking 3 weeks to get birds to you. But anyway, SMK says, my original quail must not have been jumbos because my meat makers are quite a bit bigger. Yeah, that's probably the case. Jumbos are, a big bird. And again, like I've got jumbo farrow and meat makers, and I can't tell the difference. They're about the same size. All right. Paul says, just hatched my first quail 3 days ago. Left the unhatched egg in the incubator. Was about to pull the plug, but I could hear chirping from the eggs inside. When should I give up on them? Well, probably when you don't hear chirping anymore. What I usually do is go, yeah. Okay, so usually my birds start hatching on day 16, 17, somewhere right around in there. And then, day 18 and 19, a day and a half, 2 days after the first one hatched, I open the incubator, take up all the ones that have dried out, add a little bit more water if I need to bump up the humidity, close it back up. And I'll get birds that hatch out as late as day 23, 24, somewhere right around in there. So I'd let them go till about day 25, which would be a full, 6, 7 days after the first one hatched. Is that right? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25. Yeah, that's almost 10 days after the first one hatched before I completely give up on them. Or if you've gone, a couple of days and you don't hear any chirping, nothing's happening, you can probably go ahead and call it at that point. But I would give them at least 4 or 5 days at least after the first one hatched to let the rest of them hatch. There are sometimes some late hatchers. Excuse me, got something in my eye. All right. All right, where are we at here? Watermelon Production says, hey, hey to you. And Chinky Baby, is that it, right? Says, if I let my chickens free range in my garden, will it eat my plants? Yeah, it will. Yeah, they'll probably eat your plants. What they don't eat, they'll scratch up, they'll dig up, they're going to do a lot of damage to your garden. It's best not to do that. Now, what is good to do with your chickens, though, would be at the end of the year, when all your plants are done, you can let your chickens go. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Hang on. Oh, I got work calling to me. I'm gonna have to cut this short here in just a few minutes. Where we at here? 7:30. I'm gonna try to go for another few minutes here, and then I may have to cut it short. I got work coming in, calling me, and it's something I'm gonna have to deal with probably. But let's get through as much of this as I can before that happens. Okay, so chickens free range, and what you can do in the here, hang on just a minute. Let me respond to this so sorry you had to look at a weird face of me, didn't you? Sorry about that. Hopefully that took care of that for a minute. We'll be okay. I'm thinking. I'm looking over. I've been working from home, so my work computer is right there beside me. That's what I was looking at the whole time. Anyway, get back to chickens. So what you can do at the end of the year when your vegetables are all done and it's time to clean up your garden beds, you can let your chickens go through there and they will just scratch that dirt up, scratch up all the weeds, everything, and basically till the ground for you. Plus they'll fertilize it as they go through there. So that's a good thing to do. But yeah, just letting them go in your garden when it's in full production, probably not the best idea. They're going to do a lot of damage. All right. Watermelon Production says, this is my first time hatching quail. I have 11 and 12, one cracked. Okay. Well, hey, you're doing pretty well though. So 11 birds so far. Congratulations and well done. And on day 14, pretty much right on track. Maybe just a little bit early. So your temp may be just a tad high. But if they're all hatching, I wouldn't change anything. Sounds like you're doing a good job. Keep it up. All right, Lauren says, hey, Chris, hope all is well. We have been busy with baby goats being born. Awesome. Baby goats are awesome. I love baby goats. I've thought about adding goats, but I'd have to build some pretty good fencing, and I just don't have that ability to do that right now. All right, Noah says, hey, Chris, I have some Coturnix quail, 10 females and 6 males. What's a good time, or what's a good male to female ratio? What? Hang on a second, guys. I'm sorry. I got. Okay. Sorry, guys. Hopefully, here we go. Back to it. All right, so I'm back on. Had to make sure. Sorry about this. I apologize for the interruptions, guys. Work is incredibly busy right now, and I've got some people hitting me up about this, so I'm going to do as best I can. If this keeps coming in, I may have to cut it short tonight. I apologize. I wish I could stay on a lot longer, but let's see what I can do until then. All right, so a good male to female ratio for the quail. What was I going to say with that? Okay, usually I go with one male, one rooster to every 4 to 5 hens. That's a pretty good ratio. You can go 1 to 6 if you want to, but then your fertility starts to drop a little bit. So usually I go 1 to every 4 to 5. If I have like 10 roosters or 10 hens, that would technically be 2 roosters. I'll usually throw an extra one in there just in case something happens to one of the roosters. So I wouldn't go any lower though than 1 rooster for every 3 hens. You go lower than that, your hens tend to get overbred. They tend to get beat up pretty good. And so it's not a good idea to go lower than that. Hopefully that answered that one for you. All right. Wiki something, big name, says, hello from Western Australia. What do you do with the waste, the guts, the carcasses, the skin when you process your quail? Usually I just throw it in the trash. I put it in a trash bag, I tie it off, and I throw it in the trash. It's not, you don't want to add that stuff to your compost pile. Your home compost pile probably does not get anywhere near hot enough to compost, meat scraps or organs, that kind of stuff. So it's not a good idea to put that in your compost pile. You could put it, out, build maggot traps for your birds to, feed them maggots or something like that. But I live in town, so I got to be kind of careful with what I do. I can't put something out there that's too stinky, so it just goes in the trash. Where are we at here? We got a bunch of people answering Noah there. JR says if you got dogs or cats, it's great protein. You can feed them to them, that's for sure. And Candy says we have tons of old pool filter sand, basically the stuff that filter pool water. Can we use that sand for quails? I don't see any reason why not. You might want to rinse it off real good, but even then, I don't know, matter. My thought on that would be there might be a whole lot of chlorine in there if you're using it in a chlorinated pool. But I don't know that rinse. I mean, I think if you just set it out in the sun, that chlorine is going to evaporate off of it anyway or whatever it does, and it's going to be fine. So I don't see any reason why you can't use that. I think it would work perfect. All right. Watermelon says, can a heat lamp that doesn't emit light work? Can it work for what? Can it work for keeping them warm? Yes. Can it work for providing them enough light to get the egg production up? No, they need light, not heat. The heat has nothing to do with whether they'll lay eggs or not. But yeah, you can use a heat emitter for like your brooder box or whatever to warm your birds. You can do that. That's no problem. All right. Popple Backyard Farm is here. Hello to you. J.R. Bailey says, I'd be worried about the chlorine in it. Oh, talking about the sand, yeah. That was my initial thought too, but at the same time, like I said, the chlorine should dissipate off that pretty quickly and pretty easily, I would think. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be fine. All right, Ricky says, good morning. I don't know what part of the world you're in, but it is evening here, so thanks for either getting up early or staying up late and joining us. I appreciate that. Gerardo says, Candy, that's what I use for my chickens' dust bath area. So yeah, somebody else is using them already and they're working. And Watermelon says, can a heat lamp that doesn't emit light work for quail? Okay, I think we already got that covered. We got the same question being asked multiple times. Hey, GL Bell from Oklahoma, hello. All right, Watermelon, you got to quit asking that. You don't spam us with your comments. I get to them as quick as I can. You don't have to ask the same thing over and over again. I'm not trying to be hateful or anything, but it's just, it just fills up the comment area. You don't need to do that. All right, sorry, I'm getting down to. All right, SMK says you use ceramic heat emitters, okay. Forrest Home says, I finally started my YouTube channel. Awesome, hopefully it goes well. Good luck with that. Chinky says, Chinky Baby, I think it is, says, I have 4 females, two males. Japanese jumbo Coturnix quail will most of their eggs be fertilized. 2 males, 4 females, and 2, yeah, they should be. You've got really more roosters than you need. That's probably, I think that's a little too many roosters. I would only go with 1 with 4, but you can, if you're doing fine with 2, go ahead and keep doing it. They're probably going to be all fertile eggs. You're just going to have to check them and see, but that's plenty of roosters. As long as they've got enough light, they're crowing, they're breeding, they're going to keep those eggs fertile, so you have nothing to worry about. All right. Dixon's Dairy Goats says, hi, Chris. I sold all my crossbred quail for $4 each, and I'm buying some purebred eggs. Awesome. Nice. You got a decent price out of them. You won't go wrong with purebred eggs. I think the jumbo birds are the way to go. It's just so much better production, but that's just me. All right, Caleb says, I just got my quail yesterday and so excited. What's your preference for the flooring to minimize cleaning work? Well, mine, I mean, I use wire floors. That minimizes my cleaning because all the droppings just fall right through and they fall to the ground. My sandboxes aren't too bad. I do have sandboxes, pretty good sized ones. The birds spend a lot of time in there, and they do, their droppings do collect in there, but I just clean them out about once a month. It's really not that bad. I get a little bit out of there when I do, but it's really not that bad. So, you can use sand or something like that too as well. All right, Forrest Homestead says, just got 21 new chicks. Awesome. Congratulations on your new birds. Jara Bailey says, to Candy is should, but I don't know to what degree. That would be my only concern. Ask Chris again, he might have specifics. What are we talking about? Wanting to know if, I'm sorry, I lost track. The fertile, okay, got it. All right, Mike says, the wife and I have our eggs in the incubator right now on lockdown from the eggs we hatched a few months back. Wish us luck. Well, good luck with that. Hopefully that goes well. I'm sure it will. All right, Ron says, hey, Chris, signed in late, but have a question. My quail are 3 weeks old and doing great. Can I give them greens already? And if I do they need grit? Okay, very good question. Yeah, you can start giving them greens whenever you want to. That's fine. It's probably a good idea to provide them with some grit, but if you've got sandboxes or anything like that, that will work as grit. You don't need to worry about providing really anything else for them. But it's fine. You can go ahead and start giving them greens. I would provide them with some kind of grit. What I would do, honestly, is just give them a sandbox. They're gonna eat some of that, and that'll work as grit, but they'll have a much better time just playing around in it, dust bathing. When they start laying eggs, they'll lay their eggs in the sandbox primarily, and they're much, much cleaner eggs that way too. So that would be my suggestion for that. All right. GL says, set all my tomato plants out today. Boy, I'm jealous. It's going to be a couple of weeks before I can set mine out. All right. Kathy says, Bumblefoot. Sounds like the name of a hobbit. I'm going to name my baby Bumblefoot. Yeah. Well, it's not. I guess it could be the name of a hobbit, but no, it's actually a known condition that birds get, chickens or quail. And it's really caused because they get a wound on their foot of some kind, and a grain of sand, a speck of dirt, something like that, a splinter gets in there and it basically gets infected. It's just like if you had a splinter in your hand and you never got rid of it, it would get infected and start to fester at some point. That's what Bumblefoot is basically. All right. Robert says, just got my brooder set up and my order of game bird starter is on its way. Also picked up the material for my grow out battery. My wife and I are so excited for the chicks to come home. So good. Congratulations on that. Forrest Homestead says, what Facebook group? It's Slightly Rednecked. Yeah, I have a group. I have a Facebook group called Slightly Rednecked. So you should be able to find it pretty easily. Do a search. Here's my rule on that. It is a private group. You have to request, admittance, but I let everybody in until you start being a jerk, and then we have to kick you out. But so far, we haven't had to kick anybody out. So we're doing okay with that. We've got a couple of people, like I said, that have done some slightly inappropriate or off-topic posts, but usually once I remove those and let them know about it, it doesn't become an issue going forward. So, all right, Dave says, as an example, once 50% hatch and dry after an additional 6 hours, does it damage the unhatched eggs through loss of humidity when removing the chicks ready to come out? Good question. It could, but at the same time, you've got live birds in there, you've got to get out of there. So usually it's okay. What I usually do though, whenever I remove those birds out, is I add a little bit more water to the water, one of the trays or whatever, fill it back up. And that'll kind of spike the humidity back up a little bit, and it seems to be okay. But yeah, ideally, you would have all your birds hatched before you got them out. It just never works out that way. So you're kind of stuck. You have to take that chance of possibly damaging those birds to get the other birds out of there. All right. What happened here? I lost track of something. There we go. Okay. So we got a lot of people telling me to hit telling everybody to hit the thumbs up and like the video. Thank you. I appreciate that. Big Evil says, awesome video. Keep up the great video. Did you ever have chickens? I've had chickens, but it was as a kid. I haven't as an adult. I think I was probably 12, 13 years old the last time we had chickens, but that was a long time ago. Gerardo says you also help me out a lot. Well, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Popple says we have a stray cat that climbs all over our quail cage, but he can't get in, so he just leaves. That's nice. There you are, Waylon. Sorry it took me a minute to get to you, but good to see you, buddy. Waylon lives in Nacogdoches, Texas, which is a town I used to live in. So I feel like we're kind of neighbors almost, but although I'm 500 miles away now. St. Fornaris, I think it is. Hi, Chris. I noticed some of my quail have some sort of calluses on the center of their feet. Is that caused due to the wire, 0.5 and 0.5? Oh, because it's half-inch wire. And do you know if that can cause problems? It could. I believe personally that, some birds just are genetically more prone to that. Same thing with rabbits being prone to sore hocks. Some rabbits are just more genetically prone to sore hocks. And they can get those whether they are on a wire floor or a solid floor or whatever. It is kind of a genetic thing. Yeah, a wire floor can be a little bit harder on their feet. It can cause them to develop calluses. Calluses in themselves are not a problem necessarily. As long as they're walking around fine, they don't seem to be in pain, that's not an issue. Calluses are nature's way of keeping you from getting injured. I get calluses on my hand when I work with tools. That doesn't mean stop working with tools. Those are calluses built up so I don't get blisters when I work with my hands, if that makes sense. So, I don't think it's a big issue. All right. Zen Bun Bear says, I just picked up 6 bunnies today. Breeder normally sells them for $10 each, but I gave all of them to me for a total of $30. I'm going to keep one doe for breeding and the others for meat till my breeders are of age. Very nice. 6 buns for $30. That's a pretty good deal. All right. Mama Triad Homestead says, good evening from South Georgia. Well, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. We're just about done. How we got here? We got about 14 minutes left, but I think I am going to have to end this up pretty quick because I do have to get back to work. I got work hitting me up with some things that they need to get. So 1 or 2 more. We're going to end it up about 10 minutes early tonight, guys. That means we got about, 4 minutes left here? 3 minutes left, something like that. I'm sorry if I haven't gotten to all your comments. I'm doing the best I can here to get through them. Forrest says chicks price skyrocketed here in South Washington State. Yeah, I bet they did. I think that's pretty common. Wes Koppel says Midwest Gardener here on YouTube places plastic forks pointy side up to keep cats at bay. That's a good idea. I should try. I've seen that before actually, and I forgot about it until you reminded me. That's a great channel if you guys don't watch it. I don't watch it all the time, but some great gardening tips go on there, Midwest Gardener. So a good channel to check out. All right. Chinky says, if I let my chicks free range. Okay, we already answered that one. Charles says, a few of my jumbos from my shire have white points on their wings. Interesting. I wonder if they're any different. Dixon Dairy Goat says, yes, and dig holes too. Oh, the chickens, I think it is, in the garden. So Robert says, dang, robins have been picking at my carrot seeds. You know what? They've been doing the same thing to mine. I don't know how to keep them out. Well, I guess you put a net over it or something that would keep them out. But yeah, they've been in there. What they're going after, I think, is bugs. But, they're picking up the seeds in the process. All right, Chinky says, so should I let them free range in there? Shouldn't let them free range in there. No, not in your garden. Probably not a good idea. J.R. Bailey says to Robert Spencer, hey, as a professional fat man, if someone offers me free food, I take it. So it kind of made me chuckle there. All right. And then Gerardo says, can you give a shout out to my son, Brandon? He is a fan. Well, Brandon, there's your shout out. Thanks for watching the videos and being a fan. I appreciate that. All right. All right, guys, I got to wrap this up. Sorry, I got to get back to work. I got some things I got to do that came up. I was planning on spending the whole hour with you, but unfortunately I can't. So, I did figure out again the community tab. So on Thursday evenings, I try to be here every Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central. If I can't make it, I usually post in the community tab on YouTube. So you'll be able to see that post there, and you'll know if I can't make it. A lot of times I don't know until it's almost time to shoot the broadcast whether I can make it or not. But tonight we got to wrap it up just a little bit early. Thank you for the super chats. I appreciate that. Thank you to all that joined here. Sorry I couldn't get to all the comments tonight. Thanks, guys, for watching the videos. If you had a comment that I didn't get answered, leave it on a video or leave it on this video after it posts as a comment, not in the chat. and I will try to get to it as soon as I can that way. So again, thanks for watching, guys. God bless each and every one of you. I got to go. We will see you guys again hopefully next week. Take care.